Welcome, everyone, to Learning English at Home, the podcast where we talk about interesting topics in simple, easy-to-understand English. I'm your host, Eden.
And I'm Avery. It's great to be with you all today.
It is. So, Avery, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about a very big and important topic, climate change.
Climate change. That sounds complicated.
It can be, but don't worry. We're going to break it down and make it easy to understand. We'll use simple words and clear examples.
Perfect. So, if you're learning English, this is a great way to practice listening and learn new vocabulary about the world around us.
Exactly. Let's get started.
Okay, Avery. So to start, what is climate change in the simplest words possible?
The simplest way to say it is, our planet, Earth, is getting warmer. The average temperature is going up, little by little, every year.
Right, warmer. And is that a big deal? A few degrees warmer sounds kind of nice, especially in winter.
It sounds nice, but it actually causes big problems. To understand why, we need to talk about something called the greenhouse effect.
The greenhouse effect. Okay, I've heard that phrase. What is it?
Well, think about a greenhouse for plants. It's a house made of glass. The sun shines in and warms it up, but the glass traps the heat inside, keeping the plants warm.
Okay, that makes sense. The glass keeps the heat in.
Exactly. Our planet has something similar. We have an atmosphere, which is a layer of gases around the Earth. The sun warms the Earth, and some of that heat is trapped by the gases in our atmosphere. This is natural, and it's good. It keeps our planet at a comfortable temperature for life.
So the atmosphere acts like the glass in the greenhouse. It's like a natural blanket for the Earth.
A perfect way to describe it, a blanket. But the problem is, human activities are making that blanket thicker.
Thicker? How?
We are adding more of these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The most famous one is carbon dioxide, or CO2.
Right, carbon dioxide. And where does that come from?
Mostly from burning fossil fuels, things like coal, oil, and natural gas. We burn them to power our cars, to make electricity for our homes, and to run our factories.
I see. So all that burning releases gases. The gases go into the atmosphere and they make the Earth's blanket thicker, trapping more heat.
You got it. That's climate change in a nutshell. The planet is warming up because we are adding too many heat-trapping gases to the atmosphere.
That's a really clear explanation. So the Earth is getting warmer. Can you give us a real-world example of what this warming is doing?
Of course, a big and very visible example is what's happening at the North and South Poles, in the Arctic and Antarctica.
The coldest places on Earth.
Exactly. These places are covered in enormous sheets of ice. Some of this ice has been there for thousands of years.
Wow.
But because the planet is getting warmer, this ice is now melting, and it's melting very fast.
So it's like leaving an ice cube out on the kitchen counter on a warm day.
That's a great analogy. It melts. But imagine that ice cube is as big as a country, or even a continent. That's the scale we are talking about.
That's a huge amount of ice. It's hard to even imagine.
It is. Scientists can see it happening from space. Every year, the amount of ice gets smaller and smaller. This is one of the clearest signs that our planet is warming.
Okay, so these huge ice sheets are melting. What are the consequences of that? What happens when all that ice turns into water?
That's the critical question. The first and most direct consequence is sea level rise.
Sea level rise.
Yep. All that water from the melting ice has to go somewhere. It flows into the oceans. When you add more water to a glass, the water level goes up, right?
Right, of course.
The same thing is happening with our oceans. More water from the melting ice means the sea level all around the world is slowly rising.
And why is that a problem?
It's a huge problem for people who live near the coast. Millions and millions of people live in cities and towns right next to the ocean.
I can see where this is going.
With higher sea levels, there is more flooding. Big storms become much more dangerous. And over time, some places could be completely underwater.
You mean entire cities?
Yes, scientists are worried about cities like Miami in the United States, Venice in Italy, and many others. Even entire countries that are low-lying islands are at risk of disappearing.
Wow, that's a very serious consequence. It's not just about the weather feeling a bit warmer. It affects where people can live.
Exactly. And it's not just about people. The melting ice also has a big impact on wildlife.
How so?
Well, think about an animal like the polar bear.
Right, they live in the Arctic.
Polar bears live on the sea ice. It's their home. They use the ice as a platform to hunt for seals, which is their main food.
So they need the ice to survive.
They absolutely do. As the ice melts and disappears, the polar bears lose their hunting grounds. They have to swim further to find food, and many are starving. It's a direct threat to their existence.
That's so sad. So the melting ice is causing sea levels to rise, which threatens human homes, and it's also destroying the homes of animals like the polar bear.
That's right. It's a chain reaction. One change in the climate leads to many other problems.
This has been so informative, Avery. Let's do a quick recap for our listeners.
Good idea. So, first, we learned that climate change means the Earth is getting warmer.
Mm-hmm.
This is because humans are burning fossil fuels, which adds greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. These gases act like a thick blanket, trapping more heat.
Right, the greenhouse effect. Then we talked about a specific example, the melting ice in the Arctic and Antarctica.
And the consequences of that melting ice are very serious. It causes sea levels to rise, which can flood coastal cities.
And it harms wildlife, like polar bears, that depend on the ice for survival.
Exactly. It's a big, complicated problem, and it can feel a little scary.
It can, but it's important to understand it. And the good news is, many scientists, governments, and people all over the world are working hard to find solutions.
That's the most important part. There is hope, and there are things we can do. We can talk about those solutions in a future episode.
I would love that. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening to Learning English at Home. We hope you learned some new English words and a little bit about our planet.
Join us next time for another interesting topic. Until then, keep practicing. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.